What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Game on PaxSite Live, the show where we nerd out about all the cyber shenanigans you need to be aware of. We're excited to have you here today, and we have a great show with us. Josh Hohbein is going to join us here in a minute, and we're gonna do an interesting simulation where Matt and I are going to be a client. We're going to walk through the cybersecurity maturity journey. So let's get Matt in here and get this thing kicked off so we can get going. Matt?
Dom, I haven't really decided whether we're going to be great clients that are already doing so much this stuff and answer his questions in this positive fashion, or if we're going to be real clients who are doing none of these things and have had no interest.
Oh, we got to
in
be
being
real
dragged along,
clients.
kicking and screaming. You think real? Is that the way to go?
Got to make it a hard tabletop for sure. Yeah.
All right. So our one play then, just to make sure that we kind of understand what we're doing, if we want to get to that, is going to be, we are going to be doing some role playing. And you said this well in the beginning, but not role playing like tabletop role playing, but we're going to be the clients, and we're going to take an MSP. It's a good friend of ours. He's awesome. He's always participating in so many things. And I think he's got a pretty cool process that he's running people through to try to make it easy. And I think the hardest connection really is that connection between us and what we know, the burden of knowledge, right, Dom, to lessen in greater degrees as time goes with different people, to people that really don't live in this life and don't. It was funny. I was talking to John Harden today, who actually won Member of the Year. For anybody that doesn't know who John Harden is, he's probably one of the best humans. He's a personal friend. He's somebody that I've given advice to, and he's given advice to me. Great dude, and he won Member of the Year at CompTIA. So I just want to say that's awesome. But oh my goodness, I lost where I was going with that. John Harden today. It happens. Not often. Here we sit. But we were talking about this role playing and what we're doing, and really the gap is in our world. Not sure where I got to from that is actually walking through how do we take that last layer to that end client and talk. That's right. John and I were talking, and I said, hey, listen, in your situation, you can be the 2.1 that allows me the 3.2. And I don't know that there's many other places we could say those things and anybody would ever understand what we're even talking about, right? And so my thought went to how much our clients don't understand as we go through this. And one of the things that I love about what Josh has done is try to make that easier to walk people through that path and take them down that journey. So it's that last layer, right? That speaking to that end constituent partner. And so I'm super excited to play that role and try to see how much I can remove the burden of knowledge as Josh takes us down this journey. So I will pre-apologize to Josh Hohbein as we get into this, but it's going to be a blast. So let's go ahead and start by getting leveled up. We're going to come back and have a little discussion because we've got some really interesting things to chat about from the brilliant Robin Harris.
Are you ready?
Let's talk about third-party vendor management. And it's interesting because we tend to focus just on third-party vendor management, but there's fourth party, fifth party, sixth party. And I really would like to hear what Matt and Dom have to say about this also, because here's the thing. A downstream vendor can actually impact the security of your organization. And we are so integrated with all of these vendors. We've peeled off pieces of our businesses, this function and that function and this function. And those businesses have peeled off pieces of their business and outsourced it to this vendor and that vendor. So you get a whole ecosystem of vendors that are impacting one another. And one of the things that we are going to have to get better at, it's not optional. We are going to have to get better at vendor management and vendor risk management specifically, because these threat actors are smart. Say you're a sophisticated business, your security is locked down, and you're kind of like a fortress, so they can't get to you directly. What these threat actors are doing is they'll target your downstream vendors whose security may not be as robust as yours. And that can give them a way to get in and to compromise your environment. And another thing we're gonna really have to do, and I know this is gonna be difficult because a lot of smaller MSPs, you might not have legal staff and you might not have someone that can look at your contracts and terms of service and your SLAs and be able to evaluate that. Copilot may be able to assist, but you're always going to have to check. But we're going to have to start looking at what our vendors are going to be responsible for. We're going to have to look at what their resilience plans are like. If they're going to provide us with the level of coverage that we need, we're going to have to look at, are they using AI with our data and are they using it responsibly? We're going to have to look at where we have privacy requirements, because when you outsource something, you don't outsource the responsibility, you outsource the function, but you are still responsible for it. So if you outsource something to a vendor and they drop the ball and something happens, guess what? They're responsible, but you're also responsible. So that whole vendor ecosystem coming in the door, you just need to have a very good handle on how you bring vendors in, how you assess them, how you periodically assess them. It's not a one and done. And how you offboard them. Who's responsible for removing your data? You know, the more we integrate technology, it brings us some ease and it simplifies things, but it also complicates some things. And that's just something we're going to have to live with. We're going to have to deal with it. That's going to be the cost of doing business in this age. And that cost doesn't just happen with vendors, but it happens with all of us, even personally. So we have to bring a high level of due diligence and responsibility to the table so that we don't inadvertently bring in unnecessary risks. So that's what I want to say about vendor management.
Time to level up. Level up.
All right. Fourth party management, fifth party management,
Fifth party even.
sixth ecosystem.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It's a good video, right? And it's I mean, every
As
framework
usual.
out there has third party RM, right? But the idea that there is a fourth party and there is a fifth is huge, right? It's the whole supply chain, and any part of it could crumble at any second. Really,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, right?
And what they're saying is, like, I buy this product, and Robin did such a great job of explaining this, right? I buy this product. This product then had at some point down the line this service provider. So you have, first party, second party, third party, fourth party, all of those things, right? But the interesting part is that person that's the sixth party to you might be the second party to someone else, or the third party to
Right.
someone else, and then someone might be the first party. So when you start thinking about it, this is such an interconnected ecosystem, and I like that she used that term. But the reality is, what you really have to do at the very least is understand who those third parties are and start trying to find out, if you can, down the road, what that consists of down the road from them. I think depending on the size of the organization, complexity of the organization, the more you can get down that road, the better. And Dom, you had a pretty good example, earlier of this, third party, even in code perspective, right? Like,
Yeah, if we go all the way back to Log4Shell and the Log4j stuff, right? Log4j is a part of Java that is developed by
yep,
by other people
Gendy
and
gives me
is then
nightmares.
integrated into yeah, and is then integrated into Java, right? So that is a fourth party, perhaps, depending on how you're packaging things, could be a fifth. Um, and that was a massive, massive issue, right? And it
Yeah,
goes beyond that third party. And Log4Shell is a tough example, or Log4j, because it is a part of that Java ecosystem. So one could argue it's not a different party, but it stretches,
yeah.
especially in
But the thought
applications.
process is there.
Right.
In this understanding of, you can ask your vendors what you have as a way to validate them. And I think this is one of
Right.
those unsolved things for a lot of MSPs. We talked about it today at CompTIA on stage with Wayne Selk about there are vendors in our ecosystem that are starting to head down that path of being a host for that. Matt Solomon over at Channel Partners is going to be adding a third-party risk management module that is at least trying to normalize what are those things we're gathering from vendors. But at the end of the day, Josh and his team have to decide, what they're going to do for each vendor. What things am I going to do to vet them? What's my methodology? And I can't think of a better time to bring in Josh, since he's going to help us guide us through. And I'm going to shift from being the guy in charge of this process to hand it over. You have the con, Josh, if you'll join us and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, Josh Hohbein here. How's it going?
Good.
I don't want to be here, if I'm honest,
Hey,
but I'm here.
well,
Dom
uh,
made me
you,
come.
yeah, it's a good thing you guys are both here. I'm excited to go through this journey. So, um, I understand that you guys are turtle manufacturing, and you are
Oh man, we
the
make turtles. It
only.
is the best. No,
Yeah,
Josh. I want to make sure you understand. We are the preeminent turtle manufacturer, not just in the United States, but I mean globally. I just want to make sure that everybody understands here who you're talking to as a client. So, okay, I'm done with the
I
stuff
mean,
I'm
most
passionate
yeah,
about.
airlines
Back
buy
to your
our turtles.
cybersecurity stuff.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're the
All the big
best turtles.
ones.
You ever heard of snakes on planes? We got turtles on planes. Okay.
no, that's exciting. Yeah, in my research, I really wasn't able to find any competition, so I'm excited
That's why I
to
said preeminent.
be able to provide cybersecurity to the only turtle manufacturing plant around.
Uh,
Um, so this is day 2 in business, which is awesome. And what I would like to do is get you guys secure before we get to day 3. So what does that look like? Do you guys have any? Do you know anything about cybersecurity, or do you guys just all in on turtles?
Oh, my cousin set it
you
all
know,
up, so it's fine.
That's
It's
exactly right. I was going to say
he did.
Dom's
Yeah,
cousin's been working on this for a
yeah,
minute.
yeah.
And he actually
Awesome.
graduated, if I remember, from Catholic high school last May. So like he's been in
Last
this
May,
for a
yeah,
long time. He's a
yeah.
kid.
He
Yeah.
even put a padlock
Yeah.
I
on the
mean, I
server room doors. I feel really
He
good.
did. Yeah. It's
yeah,
good.
I really like that zip tied Netgear access point you have on that wall over there. That
Yeah.
looks You did a
No, that
fantastic
was a
job.
loner. Yeah, we're good.
Oh. Well, let's get started here, and let's take you guys through the cybersecurity maturity journey here. So, bring up this nice little presentation here for you. Beautiful logo, by the way. Love the logo.
Thank you.
One of the best
My
I've
wife made
seen.
it.
So I made sure to put that on there. Yeah, we'll get started here. So what this is going to do is we're going to go through the whole, again, like it says, cybersecurity maturity journey, right? Everyone needs to be secure. But where do you start? What things do you need? Do you just go out and buy a bunch of security and call it good? The answer is no.
Yeah.
But we're going to
Oh.
go through, and I'll give you guys kind of an intro to our security program, and then we're going to dive into things that make it up, and then what can we do, and we'll figure out. Typically, what we would do is a little pre-assessment, but this is your guys' second day of business, so we didn't have time for that, so we're just going to do it live and figure out where you guys
Okay.
are,
Great.
what steps we can do to go further, and then kind of what our roadmap is. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we'll go through. This is the real reason we're here. This is the state of ransomware. This is from 2023, so still fresh from last year. This information is from a security company called Sophos. Each year, that they interview and collect data from a multitude of various businesses, and these are just some highlights I want to pull from the report. So if we look here from 2020 to 2023, unfortunately, 2/3 of the people replying have been hit by a ransomware attempt. We look at common root causes. We look at exploited vulnerabilities as the first, and then let's just go ahead and combine the next 3. We have compromised credentials, malicious email phishing. Those are all usually your business email compromises. So those cover 96% of root causes of these ransomware attacks, and that's what we're going to try to prevent. And we look at mean recovery
But I
costs from
don't
there.
think
They
this will
start
happen to
at
us. Like I don't think these type of things happen to companies like us, Josh, in
Nobody
my
cares about
opinion. I mean,
turtles.
yeah, turtles aren't on the big attack
hey,
surface right now.
the threat actors out there, they're not targeting, they're not like, oh, you guys do turtle manufacturing, right? What they're doing is it's usually just bots, just robots running scripts, going through the internet, figuring out what's exploitable, what isn't. And once they land on something, then it sees human eyes. So robots don't discriminate. They don't care if you manufacture turtles, they don't care if you manufacture
I knew
birds,
it.
they don't care if you manufacture health, right? They're just looking for, are you not secure? And to that point, let's go ahead
Yeah.
and just go to the next slide here.
I've been
If we
telling
looked
Dom
at
that for
40,
years.
43% of these cyber attacks actually target small to medium businesses. So just under half. And that number, unfortunately, is growing. And 60% of those small businesses that are victims of those cyber attacks go out of business within 6 months. So although you're not being specifically targeted, you do exist as a target. And if you are hit and not prepared, there is a high likelihood that unfortunately you can go out of business.
I,
Cyber
I think
attacks
I
are not a
understand. So
matter of if they will happen.
is it more like spray and pray then? That makes sense. Like they're
Yeah.
not trying to get after us. And so okay, I think I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to. It's not a matter of if they're going to happen; it's a matter of when they happen and how quickly can we recover from that. So that's what we're here to go today.
Okay.
And stats are one thing, but I like to find what else is going out there. And it's a little difficult for you guys because there's no other turtle manufacturing companies.
Yeah,
However,
it's
there are
a new
animal
thing.
services. So this is an article
Very
that I
different.
found
Not
of
6-minute abs, 7-minute
Yeah,
abs. I just want to
7
clear this
minutes.
up.
Yeah.
So no, 6 minutes is ridiculous, dude. Sorry, Josh. Continue.
Good. So yeah, this is an article here from a Dallas Animal Services. They were crippled by a ransomware attack. They had no information. So let's put this on your turtles. I don't know anything about turtle manufacturing, but I'm going to make some assumptions. Each of these turtles is special, and they all have different needs. They all have probably different life cycles, right? Now, I'm assuming you keep all of that information on a program,
Sure.
Turtle 2.0, whatever it might be. Now imagine that went offline. Now you have no information on your turtles. Who needs this? Who needs this medicine? What's this stage at? You don't know, right? So just like this group here, they had to manually create paper files for every building. Just imagine trying to do that for all of your turtles.
How many turtles do we have, Dom?
Oh man, lots. What are we making, 1,000 a week now? So it's a lot of turtles.
Oh man, we're crushing it.
Yeah. So,
okay, well that would be bad.
A lot of.
We would have thousands of turtles. I have to guess based on that.
Oh, terrible. We don't want that to happen. Now, have you guys experienced any ransomware attacks or any sort of cyber attacks in your previous jobs or personal lives at all?
No.
No, but Matt keeps asking me for iTunes gift cards randomly. It's really annoying.
And I've never done that, Dom. I've never asked you for a gift card. That's not true. So yeah, I don't know who you're sending it to.
You didn't get it?
No, I did not. But no, I have not. I've never ever experienced any type of ransomware event in my life.
I mean, you consider yourself lucky. Knock on some wood.
Yeah,
we'll try to keep that going. and as for the iTunes, I mean, come on, Tom. Matt seems like an Android guy. Why would he need iPhone gift cards?
Oh yeah, I did have a G1 early days, but I'm iPhone today. Sorry, OPSEC failure. Anyways, okay.
All right, so let's get into it. All right, we've talked about hey, this is a bad thing. What can we do to solve it? So I want to introduce you to our security roadmap. And all security roadmaps, or if you're aligning to a security program, they all should align to a risk framework. And the one that we've chosen to align to is the CIS framework. Are you guys familiar with that at all?
No.
Nope.
Zero. I've never, in fact, I don't think I've ever stumbled across anything from the Center of Internet Security.
Yeah, well, let me be the one to introduce you.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me. We're good. Okay. No, I've never heard of this. So, Josh, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So the CIS is the Center for Internet Security. They've come up with different safeguards to align to, and if we align to them, it's been proven that the risk of cyber attacks lower by 85%. And they kind of made this easy to digest, right? They've given us 18 topics to focus on and give us a little bit of a roadmap. But we're going to make that simpler, right? Because if I start saying we need to follow 2.4 and 6.2 and do all these things, I'm going to lose
that,
right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna simplify this.
A 2. What?
I'm not gonna 3.2. You're 2.1.
Exactly. So how we're accomplishing this is we're focusing on 3 different domains here. First off, technology and cybersecurity involves people processing technology. It's not just padlocking your server or throwing some software and hardware and calling it good. Security involves everybody in the
other
organization.
MSP, just so you know, that I just left, told us that for $50 they could do all of this with never having to talk to me. So I just want you to know you are a bit giving me new information here that I'm not used to. So
even said we'd be cyber immune if we bought this hardware. Immune, as a matter of fact.
Immune. Discussion point. I mean, hey, that's interesting. I will say that even if you follow our program to a T, there's still a chance it can happen, right? There's nothing that is going to be bulletproof, but we are going to make sure that when it does happen, we're going to have the policies and procedures in place. You're going to know what to do when it happens. We have a plan, and we're going to be able to quickly recover from that and, give us a little ray of sunshine, if you will. So
that seems significantly
we're going to focus on
more realistic.
Yeah. We're going to focus on the three areas here. So the people of who is doing it. Yes, you certainly can just pay $50 for a security thing and not have to talk to anybody, but then you're not building a culture of cybersecurity. And really, it starts with you guys. I'm here to help you along this journey. If we're playing football, I'm going to get you to the 95-yard line, but ultimately, you guys are going to have to extend it to the end zone and take ownership of it, because at the end of the day, this is your company. It's not mine. I'm here to help, and I will love to help you any way I can, but it's your guys' company. So we're going to take ownership with that people. We're going to focus on the process of how we're doing, what are you doing things? How are you doing things? And then, of course, we get the fun part, the technology. What tools are we using to get there? Right. And then talking about tools, it's always fun to talk about. We have this little thing here called the Cyber Defense Matrix. And some of the things, if you guys start doing your research on security incidences or things like that, you'll hear the term left or right of boom. And what this is, boom is the incident. So when we go look at our tools, what we're doing is we're going to have, most of them are going to be what we call on the left side of boom. We're going to try to identify and protect the various different things, your devices, applications,
Sure.
users, etc. And then some things, if we look at the bottom here, some things on the right are going to be more around your people. So focusing on how quickly can we respond and recover to those things. And then process dictates that entire thing. So let's get into the actual model here of what this looks like. So if we look here, this is the cybersecurity maturity model. This gives you a visual on what each stage looks like. As you can see here, if we take this to a car analogy, right? Let's say you're 16 and you just got your driver's license, and you go out and you inherit your dad's super high-powered Corvette or something, right? In that instance, your people and process, you're at a 1. You just got your driver's license. You don't have the experience. You don't have the knowledge. You really don't have you shouldn't be driving that. But your technology is all the way at a 4 or 5 because you have this super high-powered sports car, right? Realistically, what we need to do is we need to
But it's a
start and
lot of
grow
fun
gradually.
to have the super
Oh, it's
sports. I'm
super
just
fun.
saying.
Yeah, it's
For a
super
minute.
fun. Super fun.
Trees notwithstanding.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, until unfortunately, you hit the tree, or you go off the rails. But in any case, we're gonna take gradual steps, right? And this isn't gonna happen overnight. We're going to follow this
Right.
journey, and we're going to get better along the way. So, based off of the initial discovery, our conversations, we're gonna start right here at the beginning, and that's okay. But we're gonna get into what makes
I,
this model up here and our various controls.
I just don't know that I like that you're putting me at a 1 right now. I mean, honestly, Josh, we've done a lot of these things. Like I said, we've signed the 4798 we're down to now contract for this. How did you come to this? How did you get to that 1 in that beginning for me? Help me out with that, Josh.
Well, yeah, I let's go through it now, and we'll actually update this live because if you guys are meeting some of these things, we can increase this. So let's get into the controls that make this up. So we have 5 stages, and at each stage, there's about 7 to 9 different controls. And we're going to go through, and these are the controls we're looking for as we increase. And if we have a red check mark, that means you guys are doing it. And you'll see here on the pie chart where these fall on the people, the process, and the technology side of things. So, looking at level 1, most of it's your technology. Going down the list, we have a designated security officer. We're already checking something off the box because we're going to solve that right now. One of you is going to raise their hand and say, I'm going to be the designated security officer, which means any security incidents that happen, I'm going to go work with you right away. You're also going to be the one who is kind of the cyber champion, if you will, of your organization. So, making sure people are doing awareness training,
Not
being
it.
the go to person for anything cyber. So, one of you guys wants to do a nose goes or a raise of
I guess
hand,
I was nominated. I think Matt beat me to the not it. Oh, look, he's
Yeah.
gone. Snap.
He just ran off
I'm
the room.
out.
He wants
I'm
nothing
not
to do
doing
with
it.
that. All right.
You,
Well,
Dom. It's you.
congratulations, Dom. You now have the title of designated security officer. With that, add it to your resume and try to negotiate a raise for that because it's added responsibility. But congratulations.
Johnny,
okay.
foreshadowing, it may
No.
not end well, Dom. Sorry.
Let's go through the rest of these. Now, let's start with patch management. If we go back to that first slide, exploited vulnerabilities were the thing that caused the most ransomware attacks. So how we stop it is we just update patching. You guys doing regular patches, automatic updates with like your Windows and other application third-party software?
What is that?
I
Don, didn't
like
we
when
have
it
the
takes
last MSP talk to us
takes
about that?
takes yeah, like it takes a real long time, and then the sales guy can't like send his emails. It's really annoying. Like waiting for updates, obnoxious.
Yeah, I'd
All
say
right,
we're doing it
so
then, probably.
okay, well, with this, we want to make sure that you're constantly updating, automating the patches. The patches are hopefully happening after hours to not cause the business disruption. So, we'll take care of that, mostly an automated thing, but we want to make sure that it's happening. We don't want to just say, yes, it is, right? We want evidence to make sure that the patching is done. The next thing
Can
is
you help me
MFA,
with Johnny?
multi-factor authentication.
Johnny's biggest problem is that he says that the last MSP he rebooted every night. He told me that, and he still kept getting popped up to ask him to reboot his machine. And you guys would always, not you, I guess not you, sorry, Josh, but your former MSP we just let go of, would always like force him to reboot in the middle of his presentations. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to lay out there that that's kind of a little bit ridiculous. Can we make sure we put a pin in solving that on your side?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll notate that down and we'll make sure that his machine is updated and doesn't reboot in the middle of his presentations. We want you to be secure, but we also want you to have the ability to do your jobs, right? So there's got to be a fine line, and we'll get you that fine line between being secure and being accessible. And speaking of that fine line, let's talk about some MFA, multi-factor authentication. You guys know when you log into your bank, they're going to send you an extra text code or some other code before you can reach it,
Yeah.
right? We need the same sort of thing within our business organization. So do you guys have multi-factor authentication to log into your business applications, your email, etc.?
No, man.
No.
No.
All right. That's fine. Well, it's super easy to set up. Yes, it is a little more inconvenient, but you're talking seconds, and it's a very powerful thing we can make sure to have. Because if you don't have it, all I need is your password, and now I have access to your things. So we're gonna make
So
sure
Johnny
that we're gonna set up.
hates text messages. Like he doesn't want to use his phone for work, which is
Yeah.
kind of silly.
He's a
But
heck of a
like he
producer,
doesn't
though.
want any of that. He sells so many turtles, but he's a bit of a
Oh,
pain.
that guy gets more turtles out the door than anybody else. He's the only one, but he does do a great job.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we
I'm
have
really
ways
concerned
around
about
that. I don't want to slow down his ability to sell turtles. That's not what I'm here to do. But there's this little
Awesome.
cool thing. It's called a YubiKey. We just plug that
Oh,
into his
man,
computer and
great.
he'll be good to go.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
see,
That
we
solves it.
got
Thank
ways
you
around
so
for
much.
everything.
Easy enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, you guys think of everything here. It's fantastic. Yeah. All right. What's next, sir?
All right.
I'm getting
Yeah.
excited
Well,
about
we'll
this
go down
security thing. I
to
just want to be honest with you.
yeah. We're going to go to EDR or MDR. What that is endpoint detection response, managed detection response. So I'm
What
sure,
does
are
it
you guys
mean?
running any sort of
We got
antivirus
Norton
or
360.
anything with that?
I don't
Yeah, Norton
Yeah,
remember
we've
the
had it
last
for
360.
time we
Okay.
years,
paid for
man.
it, but it's there.
Yeah. We bought it
Yeah,
was Norton
get the
359, actually.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's good. But let's give a little analogy here on, it's a start. It's better than nothing. But you guys ever worked in a convenience store or walked through a gas station at all? Familiar? Let's put that in your mind. Um, have you ever seen them where they have the pictures of the guys behind the counter and they say, hey, like, if you see this person, kick them out, no trespassing, right? So
Yeah.
what Norton 360 is, it's a clerk looking at something, right? All it's doing is once somebody's in the store and they say, hey, you don't belong here, they kick them out. But we don't know, at that point, the time between they've entered the store and the time before you kick them out, we don't know what other things they've done. They could have stolen a whole rack of snacks. They could have implanted some sort of
They
thing
did.
within your store to cause more havoc. So what we're doing is we're putting a bodyguard, so this EDR. So they're going to sit in front of the store and they're going to observe for behavior, right? Yes, they have the list, but they're going to be looking for weird things happening and they're going to try to kick these people out as soon as weird things start happening. So again, it allows us to be a little more proactive rather than reactive. So it's a pretty standard thing.
That's
We're going to get you, something on the we call it the next gen AV, right? We're going to get you some EDR
yeah.
and we'll get you some better detection.
I like it. I like bouncers.
I've never had that make sense better than this. I'm going to be honest with you. I used to follow this
Yeah.
cybermattlee guy. I'm done. Like he couldn't explain it in a way that made the most sense like that.
Right.
You're meaning to say that somebody watching all activities knows what happened, and even if you decide it was bad afterwards, just mind blown right now. I'm never listening to that guy again. All right, fantastic. Let's go.
I do get a lot of my stuff from Matt Lee, so he's a good guy to follow.
Oh,
So
Fair.
let's get us some security awareness training, right? Let's say that you
Okay.
guys you put in all of this cool security things. You have the top technology, but ultimately your human is going to be the weakest link. We can encrypt your database, we can talk all this technical jargon and try to prevent the bad guys. And what's easier is me taking a wrench and saying, hey, give me your password, or me trying to trick you into getting your password. So what we
Sure.
need is some security awareness training. That way you guys are aware of what's out there. So Dom is aware of the iTunes scam that he might not have been. So we're doing regular training.
That's a
We're going to give you
scam.
guys a safe place to fail. Yeah, 100%. It's a scam. Don't do it.
Oh,
Oh
Dom, you got
man,
to give me all those iTunes
so many
back. Would you
gift cards.
unscratch them off so I can return them?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Done.
Sorry, Josh, I couldn't help
Nope.
it.
All good. So is this something you guys are doing, or
No,
No,
no.
not at
We
all.
have
Okay,
this
well,
thing we get, Dom. What is that thing we get that's like these test things that everybody laughs about and points out when I fail? What are those things?
Oh, the phishing
Somebody's
emails.
test. That's what they
Yeah,
called it.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got
You,
that.
you
Does
click on them and
that
you get a
take
really
care of
silly
that?
video. Like,
Yeah. I don't
it's
watch them,
it's
but
good to
yeah.
see. It's it's good to see. It's good to practice. The more exposure to have to those, the better. But those are becoming, the phishing emails are becoming a lot more tricky to spot because of AI. They're able to use Chat GPT, because before you could see, oh, this is misspelled, like looks terrible, I'd never fall for this. But now they're getting better grammar, and
Sam
nothing's
Altman
really
guy.
misspelled. So yeah, and there's so many ways out there. I mean, you guys ever heard of pig butchering? If you've never heard of that, then
I
it's a
love
pretty
bacon.
That's where they make
big
bacon.
relevant scam.
Yeah. I know that we
Exactly.
both went to
It's
bacon,
not the
Dom. That's
good
why we
kind.
manufactured turtles together, bro.
Right.
That's how we met. That's where we fell
uh,
in love over
That's
this. Was the bacon? Yeah.
is
the bacon.
the pig butchering. It's not the good kind. So we'll
Okay.
teach you all about that. And then you're the next one. This will be super easy. External email notice. It's just a little thing that goes on your email. If it comes from outside, it says this is from external. We can make it say whatever you
If a
want.
company's
So
just
let's just
adding
put a
that right
banner
now,
there.
I'd be terrified of the status of where they are. It's just, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that this day and age. I mean, we've had email notices for, gosh, probably 6 years. Dom, we've been doing
Yeah,
that for a long time, back in even our old business that we had to run from the
a
feds
long
in. Perhaps I've
time.
said too much.
Hey, what we're gonna start small, right? It's we want you to get that dopamine of getting those red checks. So sounds like you guys already have it in place. Perfect. Let's go ahead and add another
Yeah,
one.
man, we get a red check, Dom.
Um,
Oh no, we got maturity level
Yes.
1. We were ready to get a red check.
let's
Okay, that's the hazards of PowerPoint.
Uh,
let's see if it updates here. But if it doesn't update, then
All
just
right,
know
no
that it's
worries.
there.
We can imagine. I'm not very techie, but I would imagine that you have some synchronized file on 2 different machines, so you can join this and have one screen up while the other screen is actually holding the file that you're editing, and that synchronization process would hopefully show up on this screen at some point. Is that a wild guess, at least in what's going on?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. I mean, impressive.
Good.
I think
Good.
you should really look into.
Okay.
Maybe you can leave the turtle manufacturing side and come to the IT
No,
side.
no, man. I'm
Like you got
turtles
some
for life.
chops.
Turtles for life, man. Yeah, I can't go.
Uh, all right, we'll cover the next two a little quickly here. 3-2-1 backups. So you guys are taking backups of your critical data, right?
No, man.
Okay. Well,
No, Dom's
let's
been wanting us
start
to
there.
get that
Let's
done.
take a let's start there. Let's take a backup. And you have one backup, which is good, but we want to make sure that, in simplest terms, you just have more than one backup, and a backup that exists offsite somewhere, whether it be in the cloud, different data center, or just somewhere that isn't in your main manufacturing plant. Right. So if you have a physical disaster, flood, turtle rampage for some reason, if they break into the
Turtle
secret
Riot
news and
is a real
become,
risk.
yeah.
You've
So
seen
we just want to
Jurassic
have,
Park.
yeah, absolutely. Pay your IT guys.
Clever gal.
Uh,
Anyways, yes.
so yeah, we're just gonna make sure that you have backups of your data and you have multiple copies in different places, so it's not a single point of failure. And then lastly, the vulnerability visibility. And at level 1, we're not asking much, right? Patch management. Are you doing automated patches? The visibility is just, we're gonna scan for those and see if you guys have any critical vulnerabilities. We don't need a plan around them. We don't need any of that. That'll come later. We just want to make sure that, hey, you're aware of what vulnerabilities may
Sure.
exist, and then we can start planning. So kind of our plan here. Let's go ahead and, why are we doing these controls, right? The first thing is these are going to be cybersecurity insurance requirements. Some of
Okay.
these, if not all of them, are going to be required by insurance providers in order to be eligible to get it or to file a claim.
That's
And
where I
then
saw
again,
it
we're going
before.
back to that. Yeah, we're going to go back to that first slide. we go back, 96% of those are solved by handling the vulnerabilities, so patch management, and then the business email compromise. So just doing MFA, we're going to be doing the security awareness training, etc. And then we talked about the security versus convenience. These controls here at level 1, they're low risk, low impact, minimal change, and to your current business processes, we don't have to change much. And some of them are free wins. That security
That's
officer, that
awesome.
didn't cost you anything. So we're going to start getting those red check marks.
I'm glad
But
Dom
then we
volunteered.
also voluntold. Um, we're also getting into hey, this has all been fun and games so far, and everything sounds good, but we want to be aware that there are going to be some security program challenges, right? So we're going to get some staff. We might have some staff buy-in issues. I know you said that hey,
Johnny.
we have somebody who, yeah, Johnny. He doesn't
Johnny.
like to do anything, doesn't like to use his phone. So we want to make sure that as we're deploying these, we want to say, hey, security is not a punishment. We're going to increase education. We could look at gamifying the security program. So when you guys do your security training, instead of writing people up and laughing at Matt for failing those phishing things, maybe do an interdepartmental competition, whatever it takes. Those iTunes gift
He
cards you
likes
guys are buying,
Sharpie.
let's keep them internally, um, and then on our end, what we're doing is we're going to, be open in communication. We want no IT surprises. Anything that changes, we want it to be communicated. That way, your guys aren't like, "Hey, what's this? What's this going to do?" We want you to be aware of the changes, what that looks like. And then, of course, we're going to work with you on the budget and resource constraints. We can't do this all overnight, and I'm not going to ask you guys to drop 50 grand in a quarter to do this. Right? We're going to budget for these and figure out what makes sense. In
Makes
fact, I've
sense.
actually left off some some controls because we need to cover the basics. And then once the basics are covered, we're going to get into some of the higher levels and figure out what is worth your time to actually deploy and if it makes sense for your environment. If you're not, under a very specific regulatory control, you might not need some of these higher level
Sure.
controls
Well,
that are
Dom
in
and I are
place.
wanting to
And
sell these manufactured turtles to the defense industrial base. We actually have an upcoming
Yeah.
contract that's part of the DFARS that's going to give us the ability to take these turtles. They actually have lasers, which I'd prefer you not share that with others, but we're manufacturing with lasers as part of the
oh,
process here.
I
So
like it.
there should
Like
be
It
some value
increases the
laser
there.
margin like
beams or like
tenfold if we put a laser.
Ooh, shh, too much, Josh.
okay, all right, we'll get into that. But so that gives us a deadline here of October of 2025. But that's okay. We'll get there, right? And we
We'll
need to
get
get
there.
to a
Yeah,
level
yeah.
4, but we'll get through this together. So let's go ahead and we're gonna just skip ahead to level 2 here. So
Oh,
like
so those
level
ones you
1,
were
we
showing
went
me
over the
earlier, I need to
controls.
get to that point in the next X period of time to meet that contract next year?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get to level 4. There's going to be, if you're working with the Department of Defense, there's going to be something called CMMC requirements. But we'll
Never
cover
heard of it.
that. The beautiful
Cool.
thing about aligning to a security program like CIS, right, is there's crossover with other different regulatory requirements, right? So if you meet a high level of CIS, then if you need to go to HIPAA or CMMC, right, you can say, hey, we're following most of this, so now we just need to meet these specific guidelines, and again, we can work with you. But if you follow one of them very well, there's a lot of crossover that'll happen, and then you just have
Makes
to do
sense.
specific things. So yeah, let's quickly go through level 2 here. So, like level 1, there's going to be a list of the controls. We'll go through them. We kind of have a roadmap of an idea of what we would recommend low to high effort. Doesn't need to be followed. Just hey, this is kind of what our recommendation is. But let's get into level 2 here. So we see where it falls on the people processing technology. So the first thing we're going to look at is a next gen firewall. So I know you guys have that loaner link system tied to the wall that really doesn't provide us with the security and logging capabilities that modern business would need. So we're going to look at replacing that with something business class that has kind of more detection and prevention systems with that. We're going to look at doing some what's called DNS filtering. It's a little more of a technical term, but it's kind of just in addition to the firewall, just some extra level blocking of known malicious websites. And then we're going to look at doing what we call a tenant hardening. So you guys are using Microsoft or Google. Do you know which one you guys are using?
Oh, Microsoft for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Microsoft. That's the one.
Yeah, so even with the licensing you have from Microsoft, a lot of the security stuff isn't turned on off the gate. So we're going to do a review of your tenant, and then we're going to harden it based off of
Josh, that
best
doesn't make sense,
practices and make
man.
that more
When
secure.
I
Why wouldn't
buy
they
my
just turn it on?
car, the airbag. Go ahead, Dom. What's that?
No, just why isn't it on? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You're telling me that Microsoft doesn't have every single security feature turned on, and some smart person actually has to do this for me in some way that's meaningful. I'm just blown away. I don't
Hey,
understand, but I'm glad you brought it up, Josh.
Microsoft is Microsoft is why I have a job. So maybe there's some sort of collusion there, a little bit. But in any case, um, uh, there are certain things
For my
out of the box.
AI overlords later, he didn't mean that. Yes. So, anyways.
Yes, that wasn't jest, but yeah, unfortunately, you can't just hey, buy a license and call it good. We want to make sure that it works, because a lot of those security features, they're not one size fits all. If you just turn it on, you could be introducing some risk, right?
Makes
If
sense.
you go into there, I'm sure you guys have admin access. You'll get this little thing that's called a secure
I
score,
do.
and you can go through and you can just turn all that stuff on. I had a client do that, and unfortunately, he didn't understand what he was doing, and then we had to help him out because he locked everyone out of the access. He blocked everyone out of getting their email, his admin access. We had to get Microsoft involved. It wasn't a good thing. So if you're going to do that, that's why we're here to help you, to make sure that those things don't happen and you don't have the business disruption. And then with that too, we're going to look at what's called MDM deployment, which is your mobile device. So, assuming you guys are smaller, this is your second day, you're probably using your own devices to check email and to have access to your data. We're just going to
Yeah.
make some security things that way you can still access them using your bring your own device, but we're going to put some security controls in place to where if you lose your personal device or something like that, your data is still secured. And now we're going to start building off level 1. So in level 1, we had Dom raise his hand. You're the designated security officer. In level 2, we're going to build out the incident response personnel around you. So we're going to identify key stakeholders. So Matt, sorry, you can't bow out of this. You're a key stakeholder. And then we're going to figure out, vendors,
love my turtles.
who is the responsibility of the turtles. If you have any oversight by the Turtle FDA, whatever that company is, let's get them in here. We're just going to build, hey, if there's an incident, here's everyone we need to call in to get into one room. And then we're going to focus on some super fun stuff here, policies and procedures. We're going to look at making a disaster recovery plan, a business continuity plan, having financial controls as far as wire fraud stuff in place. It's not the fun part of security at all, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's no way to make a policy exciting, but we need some sort of plan, right? We don't want to try to come up with this stuff on the fly. Again, what we're doing is we're assuming that an incident's going to happen. And when it does, we can rest assured, hey, we've ran through this scenario. This is exactly what we do. We activate this policy. We know what we're doing. Because there's 2 times you can think about it. You can think about it now, or you can think about it while your turtles are on fire, escaping, and your business is going down.
Yeah. Yeah. The lasers have had some problems, but we're not supposed to talk about that. So that's fair. That's fair.
Well, it's in development. It's hard to shape one.
Yeah. We have good QA processes, and we won't read memory from a different track. Sorry, excuse me.
Well, I'm glad you guys are testing those lasers before they go out into mass production, because I definitely, if you're shipping those to airlines, like I'd hate to see what happens if we can't get
Crazy.
a
It could
lot
be
of the
crazy
airlines
if somebody
off.
did that. Yeah.
Man.
I digress.
So lastly, we're going to look at geofencing. And what that is we're going to only allow connections from the countries that you do business with, right? So if it's just America, Germany and Austria and Russia, they don't.
No,
really
we've
have any reason
realized
to
that the
log in,
value
right?
of the lasers couldn't just stay in the United States. In fact, we plan on doing business with a lot, but I like the point that we could actually find and choose which nations we don't want necessarily access from. That makes sense. But yeah, we're going to be a global turtle manufacturing company.
Perfect. So yeah, we want to make sure that your adversaries don't get that turtle laser technology. We wouldn't want that to fall in the wrong
crazy.
hands.
Be bad.
Yeah, TLT
Perfect. Well,
it's coming crazy.
Yeah.
You guys got any questions here on any of the controls in level 2? Once we get through level 1, this is what we're looking at.
I do appreciate you breaking it down
we'll
like this for me, so we can kind of figure out the stages we're going through, and it doesn't seem as daunting. So I will say, Josh, I appreciate you on that. That's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to get super technical and nerdy, I can show you the spreadsheet that has all of the fun stuff behind the scenes, but it's not necessary. We're trying to make this simple. You guys, you focus on turtles, I'll focus on securing you, and we'll make it happen.
It's fair.
And then just to go over again, when we implement these things, these are challenges that we could come up with. Not necessarily, hey, they're going to happen. It's just things we need to look out for. So we potentially could have necessary website access blocks. Some of the staff are going to change how they log in. There might be some MFA challenges, restricted data sharing, might have blocking things. But again, we're going to have that open communication, and we're going to solve these things as soon as they pop up. But let's go ahead and go to level 3 here. So in level 3, again, we have the roadmap, but let's just log it. Let's just get right into the controls and where they fall here on the people, process, and the technology. So as you've noticed here, as we're maturing, it's not so much about the technology, right? It's more about the people and the process. So to that previous MSP, as you can see here, it really is more than just that technology stack, right? There's going to be some added responsibility, but we're here to help you with that. So again, we're going to be building off of level 1. So in level 1, we're doing those offsite backups. But now in level 3, we're testing those, right? Because we want to test those backups and make sure that we can restore to them before they get a laser through the hard drive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're going to look at doing some role specific training. So we're going to do some security awareness training at level 1, but now we're going to make it, hey, you guys as a president, as a vice president, you're going to see different levels of attacks, like spear phishing, for example.
We should.
So we want to make sure that the training is more specific to your role. Or you said you're going to start selling to the Department of Defense. So we're going to get you, hey, what is CMMC? All of them, the Jedi Council.
Yes,
so we'll make sure that you're trained on what those are. And then the next one here is a fun one, and this is a good friend Matt Lee's probably favorite thing to discuss is asset management. Right? What's an asset?
Wears me out with
here
that.
At level 3. We're going to make this easy. At level 3, all we care about is, can you produce me a list of your hardware and software assets, right? What do you have in your environment? That's all we're asking for. We'll get the harder stuff down the way. Don't get me wrong, but we got to start somewhere. With that, we're going to have a network documentation. Again, you can't secure what you don't know you have. So we're going to make, have a nice little network map. And then we're going to look at doing some sort of authentication controls. So looking at things like starting to develop a single sign-on, or looking at radius for the Wi-Fi, all technical terms, but they're just a little more secure.
Is that a distance
but also
thing?
Convenient
Radius?
way to sign things in.
Pi r squared? 2 pi r?
It is my radius is a little short. My office Wi-Fi is not great. We increase that.
Yeah. Yep. It's not great.
Yeah,
we need a much larger radius.
Get those little TP-Link boosters.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We have zip ties. We have extra zip ties.
Yeah, perfect. We're going to look at some data protection policies. So that starts with, what kind of data do you guys have? What information on your turtles? What information on your lasers? What needs to be secured? What's confidential? What you can release to the public? And then once we understand what data you have, then we can know, hey, how do we protect that? And then now we're going to start also building a vulnerability management process. So we're scanning for them. We know what vulnerabilities exist, right? We're going to come up with a way on classifying them, and then we're going to come up with a remediation plan. And we're not going to be able to remediate. The first time I run that scan on your guys' environment, it's going to show that there's like tens of thousands of vulnerabilities, and it'll probably scare you. We're going to get that down to a realistic number, and we're not going to be able to solve 10,000 of them. But what we're going to do is come up with mitigation plans, hopefully patch them. And if they can't be patched, figure out, hey, this is an accepted risk, and then how we're going to mitigate that accepted. And then my favorite thing is the incident response plan. We've been building to this. We have the designated security officer. We have the rest of the incident response personnel. We have the other documents in place. Now we get to actually make, hey, when the big red button is pushed and we have an incident, what is our plan? What are we doing? And then tabletopping that. So my absolute favorite piece of that is that incident response plan, and we'll help you make that. So again, when we have it, we know exactly what we're doing, who's doing what, and we'll make it through that.
It's probably the best it's been laid out for me of understanding like the phases of it. Everybody else that's talked to me has come in and just said, I'm the smart guy. I got this. I'll solve it. Josh, this has been great. Thank you. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Awesome. No. So we'll keep it short here. We'll just kind of go to level 4, and level 4 ultimately is where we want to get you guys. Each client we want at a minimum level 3, and then once we get to level 3, we start getting to some of this more advanced things and looking at regulatory requirements, what makes sense. I've left off level 5 because again, we got a little ways to go, but this is ultimately, if we're
Sure.
talking DoD stuff, we definitely need to get to level 4 here. So um, with level 4, we're looking at service provider management. So who are your service
I
providers,
heard
and
something on the
making a
radio
list of
earlier
them.
from Robin Harris talking about this specific topic. It was a guy named Dom Kirby and Robin Harris talking about it. So yeah, that makes sense. Service provider management. Yeah. At the risk
Perfect.
of us running
And
over,
then,
Josh, and I want to break character on this because we're right there at the end of this, and we only have about 2 minutes left. So I want to give you a second to debrief. When you do this with clients, and we're breaking character for everybody that doesn't know, there's way more
Yeah.
you could go through. But what does this help for you? Have you found people buying into that journey and now being able to say where their flag post is? Tell me a little bit about your experience with this, Josh, before we finish up this segment.
yeah, no, the reaction has been absolutely incredible. The best feedback we've ever gotten is from a client who has kind of a co-managed internal person, and he's like, I worked military, I worked all this for like contractors, and this is what they tell you to do, and it's never been laid out like in this simple terms. So he's like, this is perfect, and really what it does is it gives an honest representation of your environment. What do you have? What do you don't have? And that is something, as well as MSPs, you come in and here's the security stack, here's the security tools, here's what we're doing. And when the client gets a cyber insurance, or an incident or a security thing happens, they automatically default, well, isn't my MSP doing that, right? And this opens that communication. This lets you know exactly what is being done, what you guys are doing, and then consistently, what's the next step? How can we make this more secure? Because it's more than just buying solutions from a stack. It's going to require an
Preach it.
ongoing partnership and ongoing personal commitment for the company stakeholders, right? So they always have feedback of where they're at, where they started from, really. Hey, they started at level 2 and now we've made leaps and bounds and you're to level 4 or whatever that may be, right? So they know where they started from, where they're at now, and then what they should budget for and look forward to in the future. So we've literally had nothing but good things said about it, and it's a really refreshing. Hey, this is what we have, and overview of their environment.
It's a
That's
beautiful
awesome.
program, and the idea that like you could present that to pretty much anyone, right? And you can talk them through that, and they're going to come out of it understanding. And that's one of the
Yep.
toughest challenges of practicing and advising, right? Is getting other. It's like when your doctor starts throwing out all the medical terms for the things you have wrong with you, but then he just eventually says it just means your knee's going to hurt for a while. It's like, oh, okay, like right,
Yep.
like it definitely
Yeah.
adds that layer of explanation that people need.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, right? Is like and that's one of my biggest strengths is I love being able to connect with people and figure out what level, right? If we get somebody who's super technical and in the weeds, like absolutely we can nerd out on this and it's awesome. I love having those conversations. But if you just have somebody who is the business focused president, like it's just simple, right? It's here's the control, here's what it means, and why why it's in this program.
And what's great is you've taken like what would have been, taking these deep controls and saying, here's what we're going to do, to say, here's what we're going to be working on. And you give opportunities for people to say yes and no, but you always have that roadmap that you've
Yeah.
created now through this beginning, right? Of saying, hey, why did you send me a quote for that firewall that you were going to include in your stack or whatever it might be? I also think that it gives you that ability to refer back to the guide of saying, well, then I guess you're just saying you're not going to do this. Then is that the statement we're making? You're like
Right.
just skipping this one. I will clear up just for anybody that might get pedantic on this, because yes, I'm aware that DoD and the DIB as extensible would be under 80171. 80171 have a lot more to it. There'd be more things that would be involved. It'd have to have policy process. So I don't want to get Josh in trouble for not tackling that. I didn't expect him to tackle that. Was definitely on me, being fun and just adding something to it. So just anybody just heading that off before we get to the comments challenge of that as we go. There, I know there's more to it than that. But yeah, anyways, that's great, Josh. I really appreciate it. Um, can you think of what your best win has been with it? Like, have you had one? I know you gave me a great example of somebody saying, "Man, this is so good," but have you had one where you literally moved the needle down the path for somebody that was maybe struggling before?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of our largest clients was kind of at that where they needed some security. They've had some incidences, but they really, like they had this, but not this, right? And now that they're aligned to this, it allows them to, hey, again, we started at they started at maybe the end of level 1, and then
Okay.
now that there's an actual official plan in place, they went through and we know what they're at and consistently improve. So that's been a really big win, is being able to consolidate and actually give proof of what their work is, and working through it.
Yeah. You hit a perfect point there, right? Because what you're speaking towards is defensibility. I can't just go from zero to hero. It's not how this works. I couldn't do it in getting skinny. I couldn't do it in getting knowledgeable. I couldn't do it in flying. And it goes to this Nietzsche quote, right? That speaks towards, before one can fly, one must first learn to crawl, walk, run, and jump. And the point is that you're speaking towards, you can't just get there overnight. You can't just go from crawling to jumping. It's not how this works, right? We have to have those capabilities. So I think what's great about this is it really sets in expectations for people that there's a journey. It's going to take us a while to get there. We're not going to do this overnight. We're going to get there over time, but it also proves that defensibility that I couldn't have gotten there. How much more reasonable could it be than what I was doing?
Right.
I walked down a journey. We knew our gaps. We had gap analyses. So anyways, don't want to beat that point to death too much, but yeah, Josh, this is fun. Role playing sucks and is fun. I hope we did a good enough job to keep you on your point. You dealt with all our shenanigans. Dom, any thoughts on this before we close up?
No, I like this approach, and I think it's valuable in everyone's own practice to look at what's your approach to really explaining cybersecurity maturity from your own lens on how you're going to work with your client base. It's massively, I think, beneficial, as Josh has demonstrated, right? To be able to have conversations at any level and think about, man, if I would have taken actual CIS safeguards into like an attorney's office, I'd have been laughed out of the room. Right. So
Yeah, 100%.
being able to translate is massive.
Yeah. Yeah. That mattlee guy that says 13.1 and 4.6 and those things, like, that doesn't land. This is what lands when you're talking to those inhumans. And I'd even argue it's really tough, Josh, to not use jargon. I was trying to specifically pay attention to it. And I think because of the familiarity with us as well, controls comes up a lot, things there that I bet people either gloss over or have to ask questions on. If you had a customer ask a hard question that you were like, that's awesome. Have you had any of those aha moments as well through this, where you can kind of like game recognizes game, Josh? Not to put you on the spot.
Oh yeah, when we're talking authentication controls was probably the biggest one. Looking at like, well, what does that mean? Because we're doing the SSO, we're using I can't remember the technical thing, but
Sure.
some sort of
Privilege
technical
or
thing,
whatever,
yeah,
RBAC or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, we're going into that, like, hey, we're doing this, and it's like, okay, well, does this qualify? Like, thinking it through, and it kind of goes back to the CIS controls, right, where it's like, well, yes, it meets it, but like, just because it meets it doesn't make it right. So let's figure out what the actual
Nice.
answer is, and kind of best here. So
Yeah.
So
there's definitely been a couple of those. Yeah.
That's
And,
cool,
and again,
man.
that's why I
Well,
really
thank you for
like
being
it,
brave
is
enough to.
it gives, I would say, it gives the ability to have the easy conversations, but then if you want to really dive in and get nerdy with it, you can also get super in depth with it.
Love
But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being brave enough to do this. I think it's tough for people to show their work and be transparent and humble and ask people to look at it. And bro, I love you with all my heart. I just want to say thank you for taking this and showing us what you work with your clients and how you take them through their journey. So love you, man. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. All right, let's wrap this thing up.
Anytime.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Josh. That was awesome. Definitely let us know what you think. Hit us up in the comments. Remember, YouTube at PaxSite Cloud is the best way to hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought of this. Definitely check out Josh's information is down in the description
Josh
below.
rocks.
Next week, we have an internal trust and security professional coming to us. His name is Ryan. He is in charge of enterprise security architecture here at PaxSite. So we're really, really excited to have him on board. And he's going to talk about securing cloud. And we use just a little bit of cloud here at PaxSite. So he may come to it from a position of authority. So next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m., don't forget to catch all the other PaxSite live shows. I think PaxSite Beyond, we're already having like near sellout conversations. So if you want to come to Beyond 25, take care of that. And we'll see you next week.
See you.